We're going to try to reach out to our next guest, Fabrizio Grossi, Italian recording artist. So let's see how that goes.
Hello.
Hello, Fabrizio.
Yes.
Welcome to the Wiseguyz Show.
How you doing?
Welcome. Oh man, well, let's everybody welcome Fabrizio Grossi, Italian recording artist. Are you Italian or Italian American? Hello?
Was born in Italy.
Oh, you were born in Italy. Okay.
Italiano, vero?
That's right. So, but we want to welcome you, and we want to thank Eileen Shapiro for having you join us tonight. And I want to welcome you personally to the Wiseguyz Show. I am Freddie the Fireman. I'm sitting with Italian singing sensation Biagio, Joey Cat, and Jumpa Gennaro. So they're all here, and we're all welcoming you into our home.
Ciao Fabrizio.
Fabrizio, come stai?
Everybody. Oh, Jesus, guys, I'm back home now.
Fabrizio, you say you're from Italy. Che parte? From what part of Italy?
I'm from Milano, from Milan.
From Milano. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Azzo, a Milano dicono azzo.
Sorry?
Dicono azzo a Milano.
I'm sorry, I don't understand what you
Yeah.
Azzo, uno, due, tre, azzo!
That's our saying
You
now.
guys are crazy.
But,
He's gonna fucking hang up.
no, I wanted to ask you right off the bat. You have a long list of amazing accomplishments from what I read, and now what is you're a famous. To me, I think you're a legendary bass player. From what I read, you've done a lot of work with a lot of big names, and you like to tell us how it all got started.
Yeah. Basically, well, I always been somehow, I guess, very not entertained, but very attached to music. Even though nobody in my family was a musician, actually there was no really artists in my family in terms of, what we might think art is. Only my uncle was a piano player, but, I never really kind of like got into that. My mom used to play the radio when I was little, doing homeworks and stuff like that. And I got, used to listen to that stuff. Italy back then was kind of weird because you can only hear, on the radio, you could have got like Italian stuff from the 60s and the 70s and all of it. And for some reason, I mean, obviously not rock and roll, not a bit, but there was a lot of R&B and funk for some reason. And that's actually the music that I really like. Even though I ended up in doing a lot of rock and even on the heavy side stuff in the early part of my career, I always been enamored with black music and with soul and R&B and funk and that kind of stuff. And I guess my first, I would say, love in terms of artist at large was Bob Marley. And as far as guitar player, I would say Carlos Santana, because back then I was really little. But my mom used to play the station, and that was the time when Santana released Europa, as we used to call it over there.
Wow.
And they used to play that song on the radio. My mom used to like it. And that, I think, was the first artist that I was exposed to that was marketed as a guitar player. I mean, obviously, everyone Elvis played guitar, but, Elvis was Elvis. You didn't mention, Elvis is a guitar player. And this is like, Elvis is Elvis. Right. Carlos Santana was always, the adjective guitarist or guitar player was always used before his name. So that stuck to my head. And obviously, a few years later, got into, other stuff. And I ended up in playing, wanting to play some instruments. I did junior high a little bit away from Milan because my natural mom passed away when I was little. And my aunt, took care of me. And that was like the 3 years of middle school, right? And during middle school, all my friends from elementary, not all of them, but at least the one close to me, started to play instruments like guitar, drums, and all of that. And me, not really. I wanted to play guitar, but my aunt wanted me to study piano. And back then I was a little bit of a rebel, and I didn't want to because I didn't think it was cool. And so basically I kind of like lost the 3 years of my guys. So when I went back to live with my father starting high school, those guys were a little bit more not super proficient, but they were already, they were playing. They had bands and stuff like that. And I remember that obviously we were very close, so they wanted me in the band. I couldn't really play. I ended up in buying this copy of a Strat, Japanese copy of a Strat, and kind of like struggling to, first few chords and everything. I think I remember I could play Smoke on the Water and Cocaine, that's fun.
That's a famous song to play at every Italian festival throughout Italy.
That and Stairway to Heaven. That's everybody learned back then.
Yeah.
And so basically they ended up in telling me, you know what? We already have 2 guitar players in the band and you suck, so you should be playing bass. And I was like, what's bass? And he says, it's just like a guitar, but with 4 strings. And I was like, hell yeah, it sounds simpler, So I picked up bass, and then within a couple of years, I was playing with everybody in town. And my friends, little by little, kind of like started to get away from music. Then that's what really changed my, perspective of life and what I wanted to be. I mean, everybody in my family told me that I needed to kind of like follow my father's step and just kind of like pick up family business and all of it.
What was the family business, if you don't ask?
Family business. My father had an auto shop, but in a particular thing, because here in the States, already from the 50s and the 60s, cars of a specific brands were already being sold with air conditioning on it. In Italy, that was an option, and it would not come out from the factory with it. So my father and a bunch of people kind of like learn how to kind of like customize air conditioning system by parts and putting it together from scratch.
Wow.
Fabrizio, I don't mean to interrupt, but the person that asked you that question, and it just so happens that you answered something that he's related to. Jumpin' Gennaro, other than him being Jumpin' Gennaro on the Wiseguyz show, he is probably one of the best Italian mechanics in the state of New Jersey and probably New York and so on. But it's funny that you said mechanic or auto body or whatever, and he restores.
Yeah, mechanic. Yeah,
he restores. You could bring him a Fiat broken in a million pieces, and he'll restore it brand new. Look like it came right out of the showroom.
Alfa Romeo, Maserati, Ferrari. Faccio ristorazioni, servizi. Yes.
Yeah,
My father was actually going to be stationed in Milano before he came to America. He started as an apprentice in his town in Baiano, and then he went slowly to work in Napoli, then La Concessionaria di Alfa Romeo, and then they started, because he was young and he was talented as a mechanic and auto electric, they started sending him for troubleshooting on Alfa Romeo buses on l'autostrada di Napoli, fino a Calabria, and then he decided to come to America because he was missing 2 of his elder sisters. But this interview is about you. But we can definitely talk about cars.
It's just funny that you said that was the family business, and the guy who asked you the question is one of the best.
Start changing fucking oil.
Well,
no, it's funny enough because I mean, you guys, the thing is like. Your show is called Wiseguyz, and it's always been my line. I didn't want to use it this time. It's just like, what was the family business or what your father was doing? I was like, forget about it.
So Fabrizio, you got right into musica americana, American music you loved, because I know in Italy they always played American songs, correct?
Yeah, well,
on the radio.
It was American and English. Well, there were only, like I said, there was only 2 options. It was like either Italian stuff from the 60s and the 70s, but not the cool stuff. Something that they were playing some stuff that to me was like, I don't know, we really didn't get into it. I'm getting into it much more now, and my daughter, like, we're like big fan of the 50s and the 60s. From that scenes were like fantastic music. But back then, as usual, you don't know what you got until it's gone. So you were there. Yeah. And you were always exposed to it, and you're always trying to do something different because that's what was available.
The irony of it is that there's people have told me that some of the greatest guitarists came out of Italy. Even the time of now you're talking about Jimi Hendrix, right? Everybody says in America, well, Jimi Hendrix, he was one of the best. That there was people that had told me, especially people from Eastern Europe, that some of the greatest guitarists came out of Italy during the same era. So we look the grass.
Absolutely, and actually, and I have one to tell you if you don't know the name. is actually the father of my keyboard player for both bands, for Supersonic Blues Machine and for my solo project, Alex Alessandroni. His father was Alessandro Alessandroni, the maestro. He was the guitar player and the whistler with Ennio Morricone's orchestra. So all those nice spaghetti western thing, that tremolo guitar, that even like Dick Dale and everybody from California tried to pick up later.
It's like the guy. That's,
Fabrizio, you
know that,
landed
Fabrizio?
right
You're a
on
big
planet of Wiseguyz for sure. I don't again. I don't mean to interrupt, but the one who asked you the question to me is probably one of the best keyboards players in New Jersey, and it's a Biagio, and Mike's probably the best whistler in New Jersey. So I mean, it's just all like coming together. You might even have to come on the show like live
listen.
and be a part of the show.
You're gonna come as a co-host, and you're gonna jam in this. Actually, our new place is in a recording studio, by the way, and so
that's
acoustically, the room is. So when you come, you're gonna have to come in the studio, and we're gonna do a jam.
Fabrizio, you don't mind me
Good.
asking a
So-
lot of questions because what I do anyway, I know it's everything we're discussing music is I love the Italian music. So what I've been doing is going back, I Cugini di Campagni, the different bands and all that. I Collage, I'm just naming some bands. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. I Pooh, obviously. And I've been doing remixes of them, changing the beat up. But I'm reading right now that you collaborated with Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
And
I
I
mixed
just
a couple of and I produced one track for him, and I mixed a single for my record. I mean, actually, I mixed a record a few years ago, and especially the single that he did with Slash.
Oh wow! Because I just did a remix of "You and Me," the ballad he did from Alice Cooper. So it's just funny that I see
cool.
that. But look, I can't believe with Slash,
Yeah.
Ice-T.
Guitarist.
Wow.
Zach
Yeah.
Wild. I actually met Zach Wild. He did That Metal show, and I'm friends with the producer and the casting director, and hung out with him all after the show. Like, it was a great guy.
Where you live now, Fabrizio? Don't mind me asking.
I live actually very close to Zach Wild.
Oh.
I'm in Valencia. I live in Valencia. It's like 30 miles north of Los Angeles.
Okay.
Oh,
So, all right. So you're
Yeah,
in
25
California.
I thought you were gonna say
California.
Spain, España.
Yeah. I've been living in California since '96. I moved to
be
the
great.
States in 1990. I came to New York. I was in New York, and I have some family. Obviously, like all the Italians have family. Some in Brooklyn, some in Staten Island. I know it's cliche. And I came to New York. I was living in the Upper West Side. Then I moved a little bit more towards Long Island in Forest Hills, Queens. I was with a band. We had a band house in Westbury, and we used to record other musicians, other bands, and people that used to play with us. And that's where kind of like my passion for productions and stuff came out. So when I moved out to California, I kept on developing that aspect, and became my main business.
So you have a studio as well, Fabrizio, in
Yeah.
Los Angeles? Okay.
Yeah, in North Hollywood. But the studio, it's like mainly for my productions. It's not like a third-party studio where you can book the hours or
Right.
anything like
Okay.
that.
And
So
Leslie,
what-
and
what
Leslie
was the-
West, wow.
What was the springboard to go to California again? What was besides wanting to see
Well, that's where all the action
the
is,
other
come on.
side of America? But what was the springboard?
No.
Was it?
Well, no, actually, like I said, I had a band, and we were doing okay. But like all bands, at some point, something kind of like breaks. And we used to come out to Los Angeles at the end of January every year at the NAMM show, because both the guitar player and myself were endorsing a couple of different brands. So they used to fly us out and just do demonstration and all that kind of stuff. And I always liked the vibe in Los Angeles and stuff. And once the band broke up, I was like, you know what? I need to try something, because again, I really love New York. It's my second home. I mean, I need to come there at least like once a year and all of that. But when it comes down to what I like, music that I like, and I'm into it, it was really difficult to meet people in New York. I mean, I can meet everyone, but not at the level that it is in New York. In other words, I always make this analogy, or this explanation. Basically, in New York, to meet somebody that was relevant to my business, that could have been potentially a good connection, In Los Angeles, I would go to a bar and these people would be there. I mean, I would go to the Coconut Teaser, which was a club or like a beer place, like a English pub kind of vibe, not too far where I used to live. And over there at night, you got the guys from Friends, the actors and all of these people, or Tommy Lee from Motley Crue used to hang there all the time. So it would just become, you get to know these people not because of the business, but because they hang and you drink and all that kind of stuff. In New York, if I have to meet somebody relevant to my business, I would meet the girlfriend of the ex-roommate of my current girlfriend. They knew somebody that was the heck of a famous drummer. That was always my thing in New York.
Wow.
And again, in New York is a jazz place, and some funk and all of that. But it was not really a place for rock and roll itself. At least the city. You had to go to Jersey or further in the
A little bit,
island
little
or
bit on Bleecker,
Massachusetts.
little bit on Bleecker, right?
Yeah, but it was like that kind of
Yeah.
like stuff that I mean I appreciate now, but back then was like the end of the 80s and 90s. I still like loud guitars and all of that, and the whole thing was changing. That was the beginning of grunge, and everybody was getting into the depressed mode, no guitar solos and all of that. So it kind of like it wasn't really my scene at that sense. I mean, I loved, like I said, the city, the people, and all of that, but the music was not really what was. Uh, making me thick. But as soon as I came out to Los Angeles, I started to get a couple of gigs. I started to get busy, and this has became home.
Well, let me just congratulate you on your specifics. You were like tuning into certain times of your life with such specific, points. It's pretty amazing. It's easy to follow as you're explaining it, and obviously you know music. You can tell you know your music.
Yeah,
No
Well,
pressure.
not really. Actually, you know what? I'm self-taught. I'm not educated. I didn't study. I had actually a bad teacher. I was admitted at the Conservatory in Milan to play upright, but I had such a. Can I say bad words on your
Oh,
show?
yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
of course.
Let it rip.
I had this fucking prick of a teacher that it was like, dude, I mean, so stuck up and very, I don't know, generally, I think a teacher is supposed to be a person that motivates you, define your potential, and kind of like push you to develop yourself and your talent or whatever it is to the next level. This guy was very detrimental to everybody. And back then in Italy, the people that played classical music, we're like, jazz players here in the 70s or in the 90s, meaning I'm holier than thou, whatever else doesn't exist, just only jazz or only classical music. Back then, there was no even the connubius between classical and jazz in conservatories. It was just only classical. So that's what you had to study. I would show up with my MC, long hair, ACDC shirt, or, whatever it is. And obviously I was the outcast and the guy would just get on my case as soon as I walk in the class. So to a point where kind of like he really pushed me away from study. I'm regretting that, but by the time I could, possibly afford to pay, to go to a music school like that could eventually get me better, I was already in my life where I had to work to make a living. So
You know what?
it was not even an option, and I was already playing with bands. So it's something that he always kind of like.
Tell me,
I
this is jumping general. Tell me if I'm wrong. Isn't there an interesting dynamic happening in real time right now with rap? Meaning, like, there's so now you're talking about your time with interest in jazz and they're teaching classical, but isn't it like whatever's now being taught is what you were kind of starting to study or what you were hoping you could study and perform, and now there's the new generation that's going back to the 70s, 80s hip hop rap stuff from America, and tapping into that, and Italy's not really ready for that, So I know
well,
that.
actually, to be honest with you, Italy right now, when it comes down to music,
So-
it was actually a little bit better when I left or in the early 90s because it was like, I would say 50-50 in terms of domestic and import or international. Right now, in Italy, and not only in Italy, in a lot of countries in the European community, and I think actually it was also Japan that started that trend. You're talking about 85% of the music that you hear being domestic, and for the majority, it's trap. I mean, the biggest stars today in Italy when it comes down to music are those kids, not even the one that go to, what I call it, The Voice or X Factor or whatever is the version that they have over there, but they're actually trappers. Okay, so with the internet being what it is and being it's easy to move around the world. The youth today it's connected in a different way, so there are not really boundaries. Listen, with my band, with Supersonic Blues Machine, we traveled the world. We headlined festivals in Norway, in England, in India. We went to play at the Mahindra Blues Festival, which is the biggest blues festival that there is in Asia. I mean, continental Asia. We were there playing and stuff, and I had a bunch of whole, I would say all stars like Billy F. Gibbons from ZZ Top, Eric Gales, and all those guys were in my band. We go there play, and we make these kids from India. They were playing blues, and all these Americans were like looking at these kids, were like, and where in the hell did you learn how to play like that?
That's crazy.
It's not the actual playing because music is the same for everybody. But what I'm saying is like having the sensitivity in a specific genre. And he says, well, I don't know. I learned on YouTube. So, when you have those kind of things, you don't have to be the kid that goes religiously to the club to see the guitar player or to listen to the singer. And then you kind of like learn how to do that like most of us did, on my generations and everything. And now, I mean, you can just log into the computer and this is what you were supposed to. So you learn and you play, you pick it up. I'm not saying that it's necessarily better because a lot of the kids that are learning that way, they might be incredibly on the technical aspect. They might know every single possible thing, but they're kind of like bedroom heroes, meaning you put them on stage, they're lost because they didn't make their bones, as like everybody else did. They made it like, again, in their room or just by listening to this kind of stuff or look at, the fame of people going on TV, just singing great singer, but they never really did that.
And then go through the grind or the boot camp, you have to go.
Yeah, and that's the problem because that kind of like takes away not only a specific aspect of your musicality, but also kind of
the artistry. And this is what's under threat, in every genre, not just music, in theater and film. The art is extremely under attack. I mean, that's a fact. And it's all about the numbers. And, if you have 1 million people following you, you must be great. No. You just, you tapped into something and you're important because of your following,
So, Fabrizio, this is Biagio. I have a quick question to ask. I see, I'm just reading a lot, that you actually produced or you were a writer for a lot of, on Fox TV, I guess, NBC.
Well, no, I mean, they produce music and content. I mean, so I wasn't working for the network. I mean,
you helped produce, I guess, the music?
Yeah.
Wow, I see WWF as well, the Mary Kate and Olsen show. I'm reading some stuff here right now. Red Hot Chili Peppers, which is unbelievable. Wow. Jamie Foxx. Do you enjoy doing that more or actually performing live yourself?
It's a two different thing. It's just two different passions of mine. It's I think I'm okay and I'm really happy because I can do them both. I mean, I couldn't really see myself only performing because after a while you wanted to kind of like, I like the feeling of starting off something new in the studio and just then come up and complete it, or going in with a different artist and just put together the songs and everything. It's just a different kind of high, I would say, but it's a great one. And I think it works great with the performances. So it's not really that I like one more than the other. I think I like them equally, but they need to be there, both of them. It cannot just be one or the other,
Got it. Yeah, listen, I'm honored to speak to you. I'm because I'm a musician and I can't believe the stuff that you've done. Unbelievable.
Hey, Fabrizio, this is Joey Cat. I could take care of that prick music teacher you had. I keep thinking about that fuck. I hate people like that. I really hate.
Listen, I already got the guy taking care of him.
It's really burning me up. All right, as long as you did, that's good.
No, don't worry. That guy's not gonna bother nobody.
Nobody.
Right, good.
It's not gonna bother nobody no more.
Good.
Fabrizio,
it's not gonna be a problem.
In October, if you're around, I don't know if you ever come to the Northeast here in New Jersey.
Actually, I'm coming to New York in the middle of August because my daughter just got a
August.
scholarship at Circle in the Square because she's not only she's a singer and she performs with my band and everything, but she's
Oh
also an
wow.
actress. She just finished the actor studio and everything. And but her passion, not mine, but it's her. It's music theater. I mean, you should hear her singing freaking Broadway shit. And
Wow.
I mean, both her mom and I were like blown away. So, we help her out, send out some stuff, talk to some people. One of my manager actually lives in New Jersey, and we kind of like hooked the whole thing up. So we need to come up there for a few weeks to make sure that, she gets the right apartment and all of that. So that's going to be my visit for this year, at least for New York, unless something happens with the band and everything stays open, because we might have some
Right.
shows
So there's
on.
something. But you know what? When you
Yeah.
come here, I guess Annette has your number. We're doing something in August as well, but we're doing something big in October. If you're around, you could be our guest. I don't know if you know Umberto Tozzi.
Of course, I know. I
Okay.
mean, actually, I knew all of his band. Actually, the bass player that used to play with Umberto Tozzi was my first teacher in Milan, and Umberto Tozzi musical director was the manager and producer on my first band in Italy. And I love
Wow.
the
And
guy
let
dearly.
me
Yeah.
ask you, what's the guitar? Was it Lee right now? What's his name? The guitar player who played for Umberto Tozzi. Am I saying it correctly?
No, but Lyric and Hour is like I would say it's like a studio giant
Right.
here
He was
from
a
Los
studio, but
Angeles,
he
and he
played on
played.
some of his albums, I guess, or no?
I have no idea, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
I think he did. That's why. But anyway, we're having Umberto Tozzi. We're doing an event here in New Jersey. So if
Oh,
you're around, we'd
okay.
like to invite you to it. But I also just
And
so
that's
you know,
first announcement of that, Biagio. Just so you know, now everybody's
Yeah,
going to be
we just
flocking
said
and
it.
ringing. But just,
but also
You were supposed to keep that.
We're supposed to keep it
yeah,
on
on
the
the
low.
low. No more
Gotcha.
And now
low.
you
Man.
tell everybody, you let it out of the bag, man.
it's all right. It's too late.
We have to edit it.
Uno, due, tre, so.
But if your daughter, I was going to say, maybe she could sing at our event as well. But when Umberto
Oh,
Tozzi there.
dude. Yeah, and she will blow you away because she's really something.
Okay.
But you know what? It's like because you're doing this thing because when I was living in New York, actually, with my cousin, I used to bring a lot of Italian artists from the 60s and the 70s to perform for the Italian community.
I Dick
And
Dick?
yes, actually, them,
Figured.
Cugini di Campagna, Mal, and a bunch of different people. I mean, that's
Casa
yeah.
Italiana
South Orange.
in South Orange. You remember that
Newark,
one?
in Newark.
In Newark. That was Newark.
South Orange,
South
yeah.
Orange
South
Avenue.
Orange Ave.
Yeah,
But-
we used to do. I mean, we did shows for them. I mean, in a lot of different places. Actually, we ended up in doing things at the casino where in Connecticut, the
Foxwoods.
something.
Yeah.
Foxwoods, exactly. Then
Yep.
obviously in Atlantic City. I don't remember the place in Jersey where we used to set up shows, but all around New York, we did Villa Barone in Bronx.
Villa Barone.
and,
Yeah, okay.
Yes, and what's the name? Roses on the Bay.
Russo on the
close to
Bay.
yeah, and all those places. Then in Long Island too. So it was
That's-
actually it was fun. I mean, I have some of my, and let's do that, some wise guy story related to that period of my life. And one day I will write the book, but I will have to join the witness protection program.
Well,
when
listen,
you-
I would love to see if we
Yeah,
could
we
maybe
we
meet
should
up
do.
somehow. Or
You
walk the
just
store
reach
outside.
out when you're coming out, and we'll take you to our family place, the most beautiful view of New York.
Yeah, if you're in New
Sinatra
York,
Park.
yeah.
Blue Eyes, in dedication to Frank Sinatra. We have a beautiful restaurant there, and
Oh, beautiful.
and we can meet and talk some more.
Yeah, stay in
Hey,
contact
you
with
got
us
my
for
number.
sure.
Well, I'll send you. If this is a cell phone number, I'll text you my emails. Let's exchange
See,
contacts.
he's got my
and
number.
stay
That's
in contact.
perfect.
That's Biagio. Actually, that's Biagio's cell number. We're using his
Oh,
phone
cool.
to do the interview. But you could call him and let us know when you're coming in town. You set this all up, like you said. Hopefully, maybe get your daughter to perform.
Yeah.
Have you be a guest. We'll eat dinner at the Blue Eyes restaurant on the waterfront in Hoboken, New Jersey, overlooking New York City.
Hey, thank you so much. That would be an honor. But I will tell you something. I don't know if it really means something like they say in the movie, but I did actually indeed shake Sinatra's hand.
Oh,
wow.
really?
Wow.
So
Yes, he
Fabrizio,
did. He performed in Milan in 1988.
Wow.
And this is like one of the story. The girlfriend of my back then guitar players, the father of this girl was actually a fairly big name in the political scene of Milan. And they got us in at this place. This was a venue that there doesn't exist no more. It was horrible for sound, but it was actually a great place to get together. And he brought us backstage. I mean, it was just kind of like crazy because, I got invited at the last minute by my guitar player because I didn't want to be there alone with his girlfriend's family. And, well, all of a sudden we're in the green room and, Frankie walks in and he shakes everybody's hands and he starts talking to me in broken Italian, but, he would have
Hey, why not? That's great. That's a great story.
That's it. That's amazing. That's it.
Yeah.
That is. Well, hey, Fabrizio, you have any websites you would like to mention or any
Absolutely.
social media?
For everybody, my personal website is fabriziogrossi.com, but it also can be reached if you type in my solo band, which is soulgarageexperience.com. It will tell you everything about what we're up to because we're about to release a record with Soul Garage Experience. And also my other one for my big band, the one that has all the stars in it from Kenny Aronoff, Billy F. Gibbons, and Warren Haynes, and and Steve Lukather, and all those cats. That's called Supersonic Blues Machine, and so supersonicbluesmachine.com. And the same thing, it's on all the social media, so Facebook, Instagram, and all of that / Supersonic Blues Machine.
You said Soul Garage, yeah?
Soul Garage Experience.
Okay.
That's my solo band.
That's great.
Well,
I like to hear your stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
please.
get on YouTube, Soul Garage Experience. There are already 2 singles out there, and that's the preview. The next single is coming out in 3 weeks, and then the record is going to come out in the early of September. We're going to be pushing some other stuff, and actually, I think we're going to be doing something over there too. Like I mentioned, my manager lives there in New Jersey. I mean, the company's in Chicago, but he's in New Jersey. So I know that I'm going to come out to do some radio promos and all that kind of stuff, but they didn't tell me exactly when. It would be like a really visit, quick in and out, but I'll let you guys know. So
maybe we'll even perform live in our studio.
Yeah, let us know, Fabrizio. Let me know if you're coming here. We'll try to meet up if it's possible. If time, if you have the time.
I'll keep in touch with you.
Absolutely.
Well, but Fabrizio, this is Freddie the Fireman. I want to thank you so much. But you got Biagio's number, and that's got your contact number. Please keep us in mind when you're coming to this area. You don't need any security. And none of your friends, never got to worry about that. Trust me on that.
No, you don't.
And you'll never starve with us.
No, and you'll never starve, and you'll never forget having a nice time. And I'm telling you, either call Biagio, contact Biagio. You keep his number, save it, and check him out on Facebook. I'm telling you, you'll be very impressed by a lot of the stuff that he's done and we've done with him.
We need to exchange emails and stuff like that, so I can see all the names and stuff, and I can do the proper researches.
That's
Because,
great.
I'll send you
my
everything.
memory spans in these days is kind of like.
Annette,
really
you wanted to
crazy.
ask something? You want?
I'll send
Okay, all right. Well, Fabrizio, we want
It's
to
an
thank
honor,
you so much.
Fabrizio.
It's an honor. It is. It's a very honor, and we're looking forward. August, we're on vacation. We got we don't do any shows in August, so we're free all of August. So please reach out to us, and always, if you're on Facebook too, if there's anything you want to share on our page, let us know any events that you're doing. We got some people in California, and please let us know when you're in town, and we're gonna have a nice time.
Beautiful. Well, you guys are too nice. It's been a pleasure. Like I said, I kind of like you brought me back like freaking 25 years, and whoa, I feel like I'm back in New York. So I love the talks.
New
I love the humor.
York.
And it's beautiful. So yeah, I'm gonna send you now my email. Thank you so much for having me.
Can
and,
you?
Grazie,
thank you.
Fabrizio.
We got to give you one more.
Fabrizio, wait a minute. We're going to let you do the countdown, and then we're going to celebrate with the closing atzo. Go ahead.
3.
Uno. You got to say
I said backwards. Okay.
Backward.
1, 2, 3.
Atzo! Thank you so much,
Grazie,
Fabrizio Grossi. And we look
Thank you,
forward
guys.
to seeing you in August. And be safe out there, and give us a call and let us know when you're in town.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Arrivederci.
Fabrizio.
Ciao.
Fabrizio.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.